What's happening, everybody? This is Hayden Adams with A Designer Who Codes. In this video, we're going to look at responsive columns of text. In this case, I've got types of fruit, apples, strawberries, raspberries. And what I want to accomplish is, as the screen gets narrower from like a desktop to a tablet, it goes from a 3-column design down to a 2-column design. Now, the power of these columns in CSS is it automatically adjusts all of the text to fit almost perfectly into 2 columns. So it took the 3 columns from 4 pieces of fruit in this case, and then 3 on the very last one, to, in this case, we have 6 pieces of fruit, and then 5 pieces of fruit, and then the final column just drops them all to a 1-column design. I'm going to show you how to do this all within CSS and a little bootstrap along the way. And with that, let's get started. All right, so I've got a basic template right here. Now the template I am using for this project is from Get Bootstrap. And you can find that at getbootstrap.com. The reason why I'm using this template is, one, it's already built for me. Inside the docs, I just copied and pasted this number 2 with the doc type, the head, the body, the script, and the CSS. The reason also why we're going to use this is it already has the breakpoints built in. So if we were to then simply search for breakpoints in here, under the bootstrap, the breakpoints are already built out. So it tells me what size the breakpoints already are. Instead of having to build these in for responsive design, it already has them written for me in CSS. So I can say that if I want to go medium, small, extra, well, there is no extra small, but on different size, I can use these in my CSS to identify certain breakpoints. We're going to come back to these later on, but that's why I'm using the Get Bootstrap template. All right, back to the template I go. So what I have here, goodbye so far, we don't need to see you. I've got hello world. And what I want to first put in is a container using the Bootstrap, just so we can identify those breakpoints as it moves. So what I'm going to do is down at the bottom, I'm going to simply cut that H1, say div class container, and then bring it right back in. There we go. Now we have our container all set to go. So when it moves, you can tell it's going to jump at different breakpoints in this design. Awesome. The next thing I want to do is bring in a list of information. In this case, I'm going to copy and paste my list of fruit. So I'm going to bring in, and what I have now is a UL, an apple, oranges, banana, mango, strawberry, lime, avocado, blueberry, raspberry, plum, and melon. If I drop it in, I have the bullet points. Now, for the sake of design, I am going to take out the bullet points. For your design, you can keep them in or take them out. With Bootstrap, I can simply say class and then list unstyled, and that will remove the bullet points from my list and move it flush up to hello world. The next thing I have to do is create a CSS for the columns. I'm going to create a new class called columns. And in there, columns, there we go, columns. Well, we don't forget that on my CSS. From here, nothing is going to happen. But if we go into our CSS, inside our custom CSS, what I want to do is I'm going to say class columns. And in here, I'm going to say columns and say 3. That's going to do is make a 3-column layout, and it moves everything in except for that last one doesn't have the 4th word, of course, so it puts 4, 4, and 3. That's great, but it's not inherently responsive. So if I move my design, whoa, where did I go? Danger, Will Robinson. There we go. Let's come back to that design, maybe one more time. There we go. So by default, it's not going to move. Now, in this case, with these small words, it doesn't look too bad. But if I'm thinking about a larger design, I do want this to have a 1-column down the page on mobile. I want a 2-column design on a tablet. And I want a 3-column design when it comes to the desktop. So the good thing is that I've already got the 3-column design for the desktop, but I now have to build a 2-column design for a tablet. If we full circle back to Get Bootstrap, we already see that the breakpoints are already built for us, which is really awesome. So I'm going to take this medium size, and I'm just going to copy and paste the media query. right into my project. Since I'm using Bootstrap, let me just hide Safari. Since I'm already using Bootstrap, they're already built in for me, which is so awesomely great. I'm going to take the columns, come down here, reverse that, do that, and drop the columns into the media query. Now in this case, if it hits anything smaller than 768, what it's going to do is go to 2 columns. So perfect. Oops, you know what I did? Haha, I grabbed the wrong media query. I want the max width, not the min width. That's the opposite case, where I actually have it backwards. So if it goes anything larger than that, and of course it's going to go to 3 columns as it gets smaller, I want the opposite to take place. I should have looked at it a second time. So again, you can do min width or max width. In this case, I want the I want the max width to be 768, not the min width. So in this case, I'm going to simply copy and paste the max width. Oh boy, that's a tongue twister. I have min width. And if I then change it, it goes to max width. And now what I have, there we go. Now I have 3 columns for the maximum width. But if it goes below that size, it's going to go to 2 columns. The cool part about Bootstrap, it gives you both options. In this case, as we can see, now it went to 2 columns. We have 2 columns for the max width of 768. That's great, but I now want to go one step further and say anything below that medium size, essentially the small or extra small, I want to go 1 column. So if we come back to get Bootstrap, we can see that anything smaller is under 568, which essentially is a mobile size. I'm going to bring this one in, drop it in. And what I'm going to do is then say, okay, this one's going to go to 1 column. Now in here, we then duplicate the columns, take out the 3 dots, drop it in. I'll move it up for 1 second. I could say 1 column, but 1 column is the default. So I have to use the word inherit. So I'm going to say inherit, and that moves it up to its parent number, which was its original number before 3. I can also say initial. I have to use the word inherit, so in case I do something down the road, it doesn't lock it into place. So in this case, the inherit goes back to its parent before the column, which was by default 0. So if we then take out or hide Safari, and I save this, now I've gone again from 3 to 2 to 1 by saying inherit or ignore this column 3, make it back to its default, which inherently was by default 1.